During his visit to ASEAN nations, Brunei and then Singapore, Indian Prime Minister Modi took his biggest jibe yet and called out the expansionist ambitions of Xi Jinping's PLA. On one hand, he beat the drums with Indian classical musicians. On the other, Modi beat down China's aggressive militarization of this region and CCP's rejection of maritime rights and exclusive economic zones of smaller neighbors. Modi dared Xi Jinping, saying, "We support the policy of development, not expansionism," unquote, which is sure to annoy Xi Jinping.
फ्रीडम ऑफ नेविगेशन और ओवरफ्लाइट्स का समर्थन करते हैं.
Prime Minister Modi became the first Indian premier to visit Brunei, which shows India's growing interest in the ASEAN. His message was loud and clear. In a joint statement with King or Sultan Bolkiah of Brunei, Modi demanded China to respect international law or the United Nations Convention of the Law of the Sea or UNCLOS. The Indian Prime Minister added, quote, "Through international laws like UNCLOS, we support freedom of navigation and overflight. We agree that there should be a consensus on the code of conduct in the region," unquote. Prime Minister Modi has boldly invited ASEAN to be part of India's development and reject Chinese expansionism. At a time when Chinese expansionist posture and aggressive actions have reached their peak in the Indo-Pacific region, India has been on an extensive ASEAN outreach to increase its influence in China's backyard. Visit to Brunei and Singapore follows visits to New Delhi by Vietnamese Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh and Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim over the last 2 months. On his first leg of ASEAN nations visit, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi made a strategic pit stop in Brunei, a country that has maritime territorial dispute with China, as Beijing does not recognize Brunei's exclusive economic zone. Prime Minister Modi pushed for the need to have a consensus on the code of conduct in the region, especially at a time when China is hampering the international maritime navigation rights of its neighboring nations. To avert confrontations in the hotly contested region of the South China Sea, 6 South Asian countries, the Philippines, China, Taiwan, Vietnam, Malaysia and Brunei, have long been deliberating on a code of conduct. In another veiled attack on China, India and Brunei issued a joint statement urging all parties to resolve disputes through peaceful means and in line with international law. Brunei has been engaged in a long-standing dispute with China over the Spratly Islands in the South China Sea. As part of India's larger strategic outreach, Prime Minister held key discussions and signed a host of agreements. India considers the entire ASEAN, including Brunei, as an important partner in its Act East policy and Indo-Pacific vision, and sees the nation as an indispensable tool to counter Chinese aggression. Defense cooperation also formed a significant part of bilateral discussions between Prime Minister Modi and Brunei's longest reigning monarch. Both leaders reiterated their commitment to maintaining and promoting peace and stability in the form of maritime cooperation and even joint naval exercises. The countries elevated the 4-decade-old bilateral ties to enhanced partnership along with discussions on key issues, including the expansion of trade ties, LNG supplies and emerging areas such as fintech and cybersecurity. Prime Minister Modi expressed deep appreciation to Brunei for continuing to host Indian Space Research Organization or ISRO's ground station and appreciated the long-standing understanding and MOUs signed between the two nations. The visit by Prime Minister Modi to Brunei may set the ball rolling as India aims to make serious inroads into China's sphere of influence, just like China is attempting in the Indian Ocean region. After a 2-day visit to Brunei, Prime Minister Modi emplaned for the second and final leg of the tour to Singapore. He received a grand welcome at the Parliament House in Singapore as he met his counterpart, Lawrence Wong, on the 4th of September. The meeting between the premiers mainly focused on strengthening strategic partnerships and attracting more investment from the Southeast Asian nation. The Ministry of External Affairs revealed that India and Singapore have decided to elevate their official ties, saying, quote, "Given the breadth and depth of bilateral ties and immense potential, they decided to elevate the relationship to a comprehensive strategic partnership. This would also give a major boost to India's Act East policy. With an investment to the tune of $160 billion in Indian economy, Singapore is one of India's most important regional partners. In fact, Prime Minister Modi termed Singapore an important anchor of India's Act East policy. Prime Minister Modi wrote on X, quote, "The discussions with my friend PM Lawrence Wong continued today. Our talks focused on boosting cooperation in areas like skilling, technology, healthcare, AI, and more. We both agreed on the need to boost trade relations, unquote. Just like Singapore and Brunei, India also recently signed key pacts with Vietnam and Malaysia, apart from the ever-growing defense alliance with the Philippines. New Delhi extended a line of credit worth $300 million to Vietnam to boost its maritime security. Even the Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim spoke of expanding economic ties and strengthening cooperation on the defense and security fronts during his India visit. While India has sold supersonic BrahMos missiles to the Philippines, these ship-killer missiles will help Manila push back any Chinese naval misadventure. The missile will be deployed by the Philippine Navy just 250 kilometers away from the Scarborough Shoal, a resource-rich region where Chinese and Philippines vessels often clash. Under Modi 3.0, India is engaging in proactive defense diplomacy in response to China's attempts to salami slice India's borders along the LAC Himalayas. But do you believe such diplomatic outreach by Prime Minister Modi in the ASEAN will help contain the expansionist ambitions of China? Leave a comment with your opinion, hit the like button, and remember to subscribe to Inconnect News.